A very good morning, class 12th. So, we have started with new chapter that is about principles of inheritance and variation. And today we will discuss about Mendel's laws of inheritance. Mendel discussed a few laws or gave few principles about the inheritance. So we will discuss them today in our lecture. First law, if we talk about, that is law of dominance, and I will request all of you to please listen to this lecture very carefully, because these laws, they will form a basic concepts about the genetics. So first is the law of dominance. As you can see, the word dominance, it means this law states that when two alternative forms of a trait, means, like, if suppose we talk about height of the plant. In height of a plant, it has two different forms. Either the height can be tall, or it can be short, or you can say it is dwarf, right? So tall or dwarf. So these are the two alternative forms of a trait. Height is a trait. So he says that when two alternative forms of a trait or a character are present in an organism, only one factor itself express in the next progeny. Suppose if one parent is tall and another parent is short, what will be the genotype? TT into TT. Now, out of these, only according to law of dominance, only one will express itself in the next progeny. Which one will express itself in the F1 progeny? Which will be the dominant? Mean the next progeny will be tall. So it means out of these two alternative forms of a trait or a character, genes or alleles, they are present in an organism, then only one allele will express itself in the next progeny, that is F1 progeny, and this factor or this form is called dominant. The other factor or other alternative form which remains masked, means which is not expressed, that we call as the recessive. So there are two forms of a trait or a character, that is, one is dominant and another is recessive, and in the gamete or in the next progeny, only dominant will be able to express itself. Characters are controlled. Who are controlling these characters? Actually, these characters, they are controlled by separate units which are called factors, which occurs in pairs, like T, that is one factor. Small t, that is another factor. So these characters, they are controlled by discrete units which are called factors. Now, how can you, if you have to explain law of dominance, how can it be explained? The best explanation for law of dominance is the monohybrid cross. Suppose here I am taken parents, that is capital T and small t. This is tall parent and this is dwarf parent. Gametes will be capital T, and here small t. So once we will make a checkerboard, the first we will write down here, that is the capital T, and here on this side we will write small t. So what will be the result? As you can see that in the our F1 generation, our all offsprings will be tall. So if we have to find out phenotypic ratio in F1 generation, usually we talk about phenotypic and genotypic in the F2, but here, as you can see, phenotypically what you are looking at, tall, this is also tall, this is also tall. So out of all the four, they are tall, no one is dwarf. And we talk about genotypic ratio, we will say they are heterozygous tall. As you can see, there are two different gametes, capital T, small t, capital T, small t. So these are heterozygous tall. Now what is the next step? We will do selfing of this F1 generation. This was F1 generation, so we will do selfing. Two types of gametes are forming here, capital T, small t, here capital T, small t. So we will write one on the this side. Suppose male will write this side and female will write this side, and one this side. So what will be the situation now? Capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, and this small t and small t, right? So once you will cross this, you will get these all complete checkerboard. So now phenotypic ratio, let's find out how many plants they are tall. This is tall from outer look, this is also tall from outer look, this is also tall. So 3. How many are dwarf? Out of 4, 3 are tall and 1 is dwarf. So that is our phenotypic ratio, but genotypically they all are not same. This one is same, homozygous tall. How many are homozygous tall? 1. How many are heterozygous tall? You can, if you can locate, how many are heterozygous tall? 2. And how many is complete dwarf? 1. So the ratio will be our, that the ratio will be 1 is to 2 is to 1. That will be our genotypic ratio when we talk about homozygous and heterozygous condition. Next is the law of segregation. Law of segregation, we talk about separation. Segregation actually means separation, means the factors, or we are saying them alleles, the factors or the alleles of a pair, they segregate from each other during gamete formation. Like this was the actual genotype, but now they will form different gametes, and this was the from mother side. Suppose this will also form gametes. Now they all are separate, so they will separate during the gamete formation, and gamete or the offspring which is formed, it will receive only one of these factors. One it is receiving from here and one from the small t. It will receive only one of the two alleles. These are two alleles, but one will go into the next generation. If they are homozygous, they will produce similar. If they are homozygous, they will produce similar gametes. If they are heterozygous parents, they will produce different types of gametes like this. So these are this law of segregation is also known as purity of gametes. Means this is also you can explain with the help of monohybrid cross. Purity of gametes, why? Because only during gamete formation no combination is getting transferred. All the gametes, all the alleles, they will segregate from each other, and gamete receives only one of the alleles or the factors which will going to express in the next generation. So here you can also in your exams you can draw it with the help of monohybrid cross like this, which we have drawn here. So same monohybrid cross you can draw for to explain the law of segregation. Next one is the law of independent assortment. Now two alleles are there of each character. Like here it is a character that is height, we are talking about height, and for tall it is tt, and for dwarf or short it is small t. Now the two alleles of each character assort or separate out independent. They are not dependent on these capital T, they are not dependent on small t, and these small t, they are not dependent on capital T. So they are saying that they are separate out independent of the alleles of other characters at the time of gamete formation, and then they get rearranged randomly in the F1 generation, or we call it in the simple word during the offspring production. Means first they will get separate out, their separation is not dependent on them, and then they rearranged, I will say, rearranged randomly in the next generation, right? And producing new combination of characters. As you can see, first they were like this, and now there is new combination, that is capital T small t. This law is also, now we can explain this law with the help of dihybrid cross. See, now here we have taken two characters, that is tall and purple color. So their recessive form is the dwarf and white, right? So here you can see that these are the dominant one, these are the recessive. The gametes which will be formed, that will be capital T capital P, and here small t. So what will be F1 generation? F1 generation will be tall and purple. So always remember that from dihybrid cross, how many gametes will be formed? Four gametes will be always formed. So here you can see that because they are homozygous, so same type of gametes, that will be same type of gametes are formed. Now what is the next our step? We are going to do selfing. On selfing, as you can see, that is the selfing of which generation? F1 generation. अब हमने क्या किया है? Selfing किया है इसका. And how many gametes? I told you that in dihybrid, how many gametes you will get? Four gametes. So here you can, two methods you have. Either you can just cross it like capital T capital P, this capital T small p. So this will be there, then this capital T, the small t and capital P, and this capital T, small t and small p. So these four gametes will be formed, but there is a short method to write them in the exam also. First write down the first trait, that is tall, capital T, इसका recessive version लिखो small t. Now always write down second version, dominant recessive. As you can see that all these four gametes, you can match them, that they will be same here, these will be formed here. So this will be capital, always write first dominant form, then recessive of first character, then write dominant recessive. This is the shortcut method to write down the gametes, right? This is the shortcut method that you can write down. First write down the dominant of first trait, then recessive of first trait, then dominant recessive of second trait. Sorry. Now you have to just cross it. As you can see, capital T, small capital P, same capital T, capital P, small p. So in this way, now the phenotypic ratio, we have to find out first how many are tall purple. How you will get that tall purple? This is those in which there is capital, even single capital T and single P is there, that will be tall purple. So this is tall purple 1, this is tall purple, this is tall purple, this is tall purple, this one is also tall purple, this one is also tall purple, same here, this one is purple, tall purple, same, this one is tall purple, here is also tall purple. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? Then there is, we have to find out tall white. We will look for tall white. How many are tall white? Tall white means capital T should be there and small p should be there. So here is 1 2 3. No, this one is not there. No, this one cannot be there. So we have tall white 1 2 then 3. So we have 3 tall white. The next one is we have to find out dwarf purple. How many are dwarf purple? Dwarf purple means small t and capital P. So here we will see now small t and capital P. 1, 2 and 3. So we have 3, and last one is dwarf white. And here is only if your chart this correct, if this checkerboard is correct, then you will always get one dwarf white. So here you can see the ratio 9:3:3:1. That is the phenotypic ratio of dihybrid cross. So this is, in this way you have to explain this law of independent assortment. Now the next is the, which is important for NEET sometime, that is the tri-hybrid cross. Always remember, in one if it is a monohybrid cross, two gametes will be formed. If it is a dihybrid cross, then there will be 4 gametes will be formed. If it is a tri-hybrid cross, then 8 gametes will be formed. So here you can see that there is, because it is homozygous, so I have written here we have taken 3 things, that is tall, purple and axial position of the flower. So here this is our F1 generation. Capital, as you can see, that capital T, small t, capital P, small p, then capital A, small a. That is the same, capital T, small t, capital P, small p, A, small a, right? First dominant, then recessive, dominant, recessive. This way you have to write down. Now on selfing of what? On selfing of F1 generation. What is our target? How many gametes will be formed? 8 gametes are going to form. How to form gametes of this one? Now always see, because this is little bit complicated. So first we will talk about only first character, that is tall, right? So first always write all the dominant form, that is tall, purple, axial. Now just make one recessive. This is recessive. Now make another recessive. This is recessive. Now make this one big. That will be your one side completed. Now same we will do with the another one. This will be dominant, this will be recessive. So first you can write down small t. This way you can get 8 type of gametes. Now as you can see, this one both are dominant, so first we will make it recessive. Now we will make this one recessive, and now and last one we will make both recessive. So in this way there is the 8 type of gametes you can form, and you can get your checkerboard. Both sides you have to write down these 8 gametes and you will get your checkerboard. Now but this is little complicated, so sometimes in your exam, how can you find out phenotypic ratio? If suppose your checkerboard is also correct, but you are not able to get ratio. For phenotypic ratio, 3:1, that 3:1 over n. And that is the formula for phenotypic ratio. What is that? N is the number of traits or characters which we have taken into account. Means if you are talking about monohybrid cross, how many characters I am taking in monohybrid cross? 1. So what is my phenotypic ratio there? Obviously it is 3:1. If I talk about dihybrid cross, how many things characters we are taking? 2. So 3:1 into 3:1, that is 9:3:3:1, that we know. Now same for the tri-hybrid cross. We take 3 characters, so it will be you can see 9:3:3:1 into 3:1. So approximately this ratio comes phenotypic ratio. 27, 9:9:3:3:1. That is the ratio for your tri-hybrid cross. This is sometime asked in NEET, and this is the easy solution to find out the phenotypic ratio, that you have to put this formula over n, and you have in n you have to put your number of traits. Next is the genotypic ratio. Now we know that the genotypic is 1 is to 2 is to 1. You have to just put your number of traits there. For monohybrid cross it is 1 is to 2 is to 1. For dihybrid it will be approximately 1 is to 2 is to 1, 2 is to 4 is to 2, 1 is to 2 is to 1. That we normally don't write, but yes, for your objective point of view, this you should need know to this point. Then is the for tri hybrid cross you have to put three characters, and as you can see this is little bit complicated. Ratio, that is 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 1 equal to 2 is to 4 is to 2 is to 1, 2 is to 4, 2 is to 4 is to 8, 4 is to 2 is to, if you will even calculate it, this ratio will come for the trihybrid cross. That is about the genotypic. So that is all about your three laws, as well as for your genotypic as well as phenotypic ratio. So I will meet you in the next video with the another three important terms, that is test cross, incomplete dominance, and the codominance. So till then, take care, have a